Hello everyone, good morning, happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a good week so far. I'm glad you're here and tuning in. It is release day at Tailored Expressions. Every Tuesday at 9 o'clock we launch new products or some kind of special offer for you guys. And I am super excited about this week's release. You may have already seen what we have coming if you tuned in for our product reveal video over the weekend. Whitney and I do those on Saturday mornings, and you can check out what's coming and hear all about it. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, then you'll want to check out the website to see all of the new items. I'm not going to go through every new item in the release, so there are a lot of good things this week, and you can click on that banner on the homepage to find our foiled and fabulous release, or you can go under what's new and the foiled and fabulous category. So lots of ways you can see what is available to you. I want to say hi to some people before we start talking about special offers and release products. I'd love to know what's on your crafty desk this morning too, so leave me a comment and tell me what you're working on. It is September 23rd, right?
Woo! How did we get here?
I know, the days and weeks and months just keep flying by. It is true. The older I get, the faster it goes. So, hello Vicki, good morning. Hi Barbara in Seattle. We have Mary in Iowa City, another Mary who loves hot foiling. So we are going to do some foiling today. We're actually doing toner foiling. That's what I like to call the type of foiling that allows your foil to stick to toner printed pieces. And both of the types of foiling involve heat. So it's hard to differentiate them. One involves toner for heat foiling and the other does not, and it is hot foiling. And two different foils, so I know for those of you that are just getting into this, that might be a little bit of a point of confusion. If you're looking at different companies, some do hot foiling and some do heat foiling. So it's a little bit different. We are on the heat foiling end of things with a heat source and toner printed products or pastes that have a formulation that allows you to foil over the top of them. So let's see who else we've got here. Hi, Deneen. You've already got your order in today. Good. I'm glad Amy could help you. That's awesome. Amy's great. Julie is here, stamping your wonky grid backgrounds. I'm guessing maybe for the Crop and Create event later this week. This is live number 2 for me this week. I have another one tonight. We are doing our virtual birthday party. So hopefully those of you that tuned in for our birthday celebration or release a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated our 17th birthday. And we gave you a birthday bingo bundle with your purchase. And tonight is the big night. We're going to have some fun together, create. I know, Whitney's excited. We have prizes to give away. We have cards to make. We have a fun outfit to wear. So yes, it's going to be lots of fun tonight starting at 7 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you're tuned in for that. Good morning, everyone. April's here in Houston. Kim, you got your order in. Good to hear. Awesome. Marlis in North Carolina. We have Marianne. Let's see. Marianne has a question this morning. Where do I find the Year in Bloom stamps and other products that go with the stamps? So Whitney, maybe you can respond to her. That might be easier than me trying to explain it. So, all right. Let's see. Shell says, I have some stenciling waiting on the pouncer. Okay, it's coming. Will you be at Stamp Joy this year? I would love to know, Shell, because those of you coming to Stamp Joy will get earliest access to those new pouncers that we've been sharing with you for over a year now. I like to make sure I'm really satisfied with the product, and this was one we wanted to make sure we gave it a good amount of time to test and see how it did, and so we're excited to get that out. Deneen's excited about birthday bingo. Lori's excited to see some new foil techniques. Well, that's what we are going to do today, and I am super excited to share with you. We have a few new samples that have come in since our product reveal video. So on Saturdays, we typically show our products and some samples as well, but we have some new ones that I didn't have on Saturday to show you. So take a look at these from Lori Craig. These are so fun. She did a couple different techniques. So she did kind of foiling the negative. I'm not sure it has a real name, but you foil the piece that you peel off. You place it down on another piece of cardstock, and then you foil that. So it's basically a twofer on your piece of foil. You get two designs. And then she cut each of those in half at the same spot, and she flip-flopped them. So she has the, white with orange and the orange with white, and then the opposite on the other side. And this is the perfect card to show you guys to segue into our promotion this week. So I'm going to pop a graphic up on the screen before we talk about these other samples. I want to make sure you know about the Edge to Edge Occasions freebie pack. That is your free gift with purchase of $65 or more. That purchase needs to come entirely from the foil release category. And then you will automatically receive our Fun Foil Scrap Pack and our Edge to Edge Occasions freebie pack. So the Edge to Edge Occasions is a smaller pack, so it has 6 sheets in it instead of our normal 12 sheets. And I'm going to show you here kind of why we designed these along with our scrap packs. So these are our Fun Foil Scrap Packs, and we process all of the foil in-house, and when we do that, we end up with like a small strip of foil left over. But there is 25 feet of foil on here, so it's a lot, and it's kind of sad to feel like we have to throw away usable product. So my goal was to come up with something that would allow you to use these scraps easily, and you get, let's see, I think there's 8 in here. The thickness does vary just slightly between maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch is about the thickness of each of these, or the width of each of these rolls. And each scrap pack contains something a little bit different. So if you purchase more than one, you may be getting all the same, or you may be getting a little something different. So every time we have these little leftovers, we save them and put them together in these scrap packs. So these Edge to Edge Occasions pieces are sentiments that are designed to be used just like Lori used them, edge to edge on her project. So really great to use them with a large focal image because they kind of hold your eye to your sentiment and allow this to still shine as your main piece of art on your card. So each of these is designed to take up about 3/4 of an inch of your cardstock. There is one that is printed black on white, and then one that has the black printed with the text remaining white. I wanted to give you guys a couple of tips with these. So first of all, when you're using specifically the one that has completely black toner on it, as you guys know, if you've been foiling with a mink, you don't ever want your foil to, or your toner to peek out from your foil because it will transfer to your carrier sheet. So you want to make sure that your foil is completely covering all of that black. For that reason, it's going to be easier specifically with these black ones if you cut them first. So that's the other tip I wanted to share with you, that if you want to cut these and keep them separately, you can go through them and foil them as you needed. They should be cut at about 3/4, not about, they can be cut at 3/4 of an inch. So I have that one 3/4, and then I can just move my paper down and continue cutting at 3/4 of an inch, and that will get you perfectly centered sentiments all the way down to the bottom. So I won't finish off the whole thing, but you get what I'm saying. Then you have all of these pieces, and we can take that over now, and I'll show you what that looks like with our scrap pack. So this one, you can see, does not quite reach all of that black. Like I said, some of them are a little bit thinner than others. Let me grab this green one because it looks a little bit thicker, and that does cover the entire amount of the black toner. So if you get a little bit thinner roll where it doesn't cover the entire strip, specifically only with these black ones, the white ones are going to be fine because, you know, it covers the entire amount of the black printed toner. but the ones that are black with the white, you might need to just snip off a little bit off of one end in order to get your foil to cover the entire strip. So I just wanted to save you guys, hopefully save your carrier sheet, and remind you that you want to make sure that all of your toner is covered with foil before you put it through your heat source, or it will transfer to your carrier. And it's not impossible to get off, but it does take some elbow grease. So, okay, so that's free with a purchase of $65 or more, as I said. And in addition, you can purchase the edge-to-edge occasions as well. And we also have a set of edge-to-edge holidays. So there's one that says Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, and Season's Greetings as well. So if you love this idea of large edge-to-edge sentiments, you can grab those for purchase as well as earn them for free. So let's take a look at another card that came from Lori Craig over the weekend, and I love this. It uses the set that I'm going to be using today, which is called Blessings. So these foilets include some of our stamp sentiments that are longer. We call them poems. A lot of them do rhyme, but these are stamps in our collection that we have sized down specifically to work with the Secret Garden layering stencil. So that's what I'm going to be using on the live today. It creates this opening in the center, and the stamps that we have are slightly larger, and sometimes they overlap into the flowers. So what I love about these, the Foilet Blessings, is that they're a little bit smaller and give you some design room around the outside. And specifically, if you want to use them with Secret Garden, they will work great with that. I love this one. So this is the one that Lori used. It says, may green be the grass you walk on, may blue be the sky above you, may pure be the joy that surrounds you, may true be the hearts that love you. So really some good ones that we use a lot for weddings, graduations, big occasions like that. And we are going to make this project today. I've been wanting to show you guys this new product, and it's kind of hard to capture in a picture. Do you see that beautiful iridescent shattered look over the top of the entire piece of this cardstock? So we are going to use our new Iridescent Kaleidoscope Foil, and we're going to get this, this really cool card. So let's see. We got a few questions out there. Jill asked if she has to order from the Foiled and Fabulous page to get the freebie. Yes, you have to order from the new release category in order to earn that freebie. It should be added automatically to your cart. So if you don't see it in your cart, then make sure, and you think it should be, then make sure you're reaching out to customer service and they can help figure out, what might be causing it not to show up. Sue asked, how do you avoid black spots on your foiled items? So Sue, I'd be interested in knowing a couple things. What machine are you using to foil? I use a Mink machine, and I have found that each Mink machine is just a little bit different. So really learning your settings. I think some of those here in the group can probably tell you a 3 might work for me, but a 4 might work better for them. So sometimes you have to be okay with trial and error and taking some notes on your machine. You can even do that, especially good idea when you get some of these free items like this, especially these all black ones. These are great for practicing. So you can cut them apart and you have lots of different practice ones, and you might end up throwing some away. And we've all been there, we've all done that. But once you find your perfect setting for your particular machine, foiling works a lot better, and you can really avoid those spots. So it looks like Sue uses the fuse. If there's anybody out there who does use the fuse, feel free to give Sue your tips and tricks on that particular machine. We use the Mink here, and while I know they're similar, I don't know what the interiors of the machines look like and whether they, what the heating powers of each is. So yeah, feel free to help her out with that. And I'm going to continue on with heating up my Mink machine. I'm going to use the mini Mink just because it takes up less space here. And I need a carrier wit.
Oh, yes.
So we are going to use first this card from the Blessings set. And I'm going to foil this with champagne foil. And then we're going to do our blending after that. Now, there is a reason why I'm foiling the champagne first, because I want to put this iridescent kaleidoscope over the entire piece. I want to make sure that my sentiment is the way that I want it before we get to the step of making our entire piece that shattered kaleidoscope look. So I'm going to grab a piece of champagne foil here, and
oh, scissors too.
if I can have the long blade ones, I can talk about that as one of my favorite things. So I like to cut my foil with a scissors that has a long blade. Then you're not kind of chopping and hacking at your foil, and it's easier to get, a straight cut, just three times with that scissors, and you've cut through. Okay, so here's our foilet that is toner printed, and then I have my piece of foil. I'm going to place that foil over the top with the pretty side up. And as I mentioned, you do want to make sure it's covering the entire piece of your toner printed design. So if some of it were hanging off like this and I didn't notice, all of this that's open to my carrier sheet would transfer to the lid of the carrier, and it would just make a black mark on there and continue to make that mark on other pieces that I foil. So you can see that I have plenty of foil here, so I can actually cut this in half one more time and save that extra for another piece. Okay, so next I have my carrier sheet, and inside is my Foil Magic Shim. So this is a piece of material that we have found to be really helpful in conducting the heat from the Mink machine through to the foil and the toner printed piece. So you will always find me using the Foil Magic Shim depending on the machine you have. You can try. This is another thing to use some trial and error. And I know some people swear by the Foil Magic Shim, myself included, that it just makes it transfer so much better than without. But I know some of you use different machines, and that may not be the case. So again, help each other out. I know there are always lots of discussions happening in our fan page, and I love to see everybody helping each other, because once you get it kind of tuned in and dialed in, you will never turn back from foiling. I love it. All right, it looks like, yeah, we've got some people saying in the comments, some people I know will send theirs through twice. Some of you bump your setting up to a 4. I will tell you that you can, sometimes we like to say around here, more is more. In this case, you could say hotter is always going to give you a better transfer, but that's not always the case. So sometimes when you get up to those very high heat settings, you can notice that your foil is rippling when it applies. So you can see a little bit of ripple up here, but that's not where my sentiment is. My foiled piece is right here in the center, and you can notice it's very flat, and there's no ripples in that area. But if you're getting your machine too hot and it's rippling the foil, it will not apply to your toner print in the areas where the foil is rippled and raised. So that's something else to look out for with Sue's question earlier. Getting some of those small black spots on your foiling could be because your foil is rippling, which I find is often because the heat setting is too hot. So hotter is not always better. Okay, I also like to let mine cool down. So after I take it out of my carrier and my Foil Magic Shim, I'm going to let it cool off until it's cool to the touch. And then we're going to peel it away and see that beautifully foiled sentiment. So I would count this as pretty perfect results. You can see if you put it over another piece here that I got a really good application on that foil. So there it is. And now we can turn this off for a little while. We're going to need to turn it back on when we use the Iridescent Kaleidoscope Foil. But first, we're going to do some blending. So I am going to grab that Secret Garden stencil that I mentioned, and that's how we're going to get this beautiful floral design around the outside edge of this foilet. I want to make sure that I tack this down to my glass board so it's not going anywhere. And I'm going to grab layer 1 of the stencil. This is a 5-layer stencil. So we'll talk through my color combo on each of these. Whitney was sort of surprised by...
I was! This color combo.
Yes. I actually, the card base that I used is popsicle, but I didn't actually use any popsicle ink. So kind of fun way to think about how you can get different colors without actually using. You can match up different cardstocks without actually using that. Okay, so you see I've switched out here. I am going to tack down to a, this is just a regular old paper placemat. And that's gonna be a little bit easier for me since my paper is an A2 size and my stencil with the stencil markings is actually comes outside of the A2. So I need somewhere to set this up so that my alignment squares can be aligned with each layer. And I'm just going to arrange that first layer, making sure that these little flower portions are not overlapping into my sentiment. And then we'll go ahead and tack this down. Okay. Grab my glass board buddy. And we'll start blending the first layer, which is actually bubble gum. Interesting when you see the pairing with this one for a dimensional blend. That's where we're going to get something that looks like popsicle, but we didn't actually use popsicle. So bubble gum first. Linda says Iridescent Kaleidoscope Foil was my favorite surprise from summer school, and I want more of it.
I agree with that.
Yes, it was, has been super fun, and it's a little bit different. So I'll talk about this again later, but just to give you our first kind of hint that Iridescent Kaleidoscope Foil does not behave in the same way that all of our other foils do. So all of our other foils are designed to adhere to anything that's toner printed. And while the kaleidoscope foil still adheres to toner printed parts, it also adheres to non-toner printed parts of the design. And so you'll get that all over shattered kaleidoscope look. And, you know, there's a little bit of charm to the, I'll call it whimsy or charm when you apply that foil, because it doesn't always come out perfect. And I find that, again, that's part of the whimsy and the uniqueness of that foil. So I'm going to give you my best practices that I've been using with this foil, but just know that it's another one that you'll want to play with and figure out what works best for your machine. I do use a little bit higher heat setting on mine. So here's where I am combining passion fruit with the bubble gum. And when it's all said and done, this is the part that ends up looking a little bit more like popsicle. So bitty blender brushes for my detail layer, and then the big brushes for the larger openings. Okay, I have my alignment squares. They are blended on my placemat, so now I can remove this, leaving the foilet in place on that piece of cardstock.
See, this layer surprised me the most. It's like it already looks so awesome with those two colors, and I would have never thought bubblegum and passion fruit.
I know, right?
Boggled, mind boggling.
So then we've got layer 2, and you really do need to use the alignment squares on this particular stencil because the designs are sort of more whimsical, realistic looking, I guess, where they don't line up perfectly with what you've just stenciled. So without using those alignment squares, you really don't have a lot of visual cues for exactly where to put that layer down, which is why you saw me switch to the paper placemat. I do have another way. When I made this card the first time, there is another way to line these up if you are using a glass board. And maybe I can show that when I get done with this layer, because I think it's worth noting. I did do that when I originally made the project, but it's not as easy, I guess, as just using a paper placemat and lining up your alignment squares. Okay, so plum punch then. That first layer was dragon fruit, and then we're gonna do some plum punch. So it's sort of a pink and a magenta on each layer. Each of these first 2 layers is how I did those. Instead of doing the 2 pinks together and the 2 magentas together, I flip-flopped them and did one of each color with each layer, which gives you just a little something more unexpected than the traditional pairings of colors. Okay, so that is layer 2. Now, if I wanted to, let me show you what I was talking about. If you're on a glass board and you don't have the alignment squares, what I would recommend is taking your first layer and combining it with your second layer. And I think I want it over the top. It's on top, so I can see that first layer. Both of them are lined up. And then I'm going to line up that first layer of the stencil on my, it would be on my glass board. And then when I pick this up, I can just tack this down and take this away. So that's how I know that this new layer is in exactly the right spot, by combining those together and using my glass board instead of the alignment squares. Some of you might be confused by that, and if you are, I would just say, do what I'm showing you now. Use a larger piece of placemat and line it up with those alignment squares. Okay, so layer 3, we're going to start in with our yellow flowers now. This one is pineapple. This stencil has been really fun to play with different colors too. I think I've been reaching a lot for the new colors lately, the papaya and the persimmon. I've missed having a coral as part of our collection. So my goal today was really to not use papaya and persimmon because I feel like I've done that a lot lately. And they fit so well with so many of our colors, but I loved the purpley pink and the yellow combo for this one. So that's pineapple. And now that I just mentioned my goal not to use papaya and persimmon, I am going to bring in just a slight touch of papaya. With the pineapple is going to be a little bit more unexpected blend than just using a darker shade of yellow. So I'm going to loosen up my blender brush here before I get started on the stencil, just hitting those edges with that little touch of the orangey coral. And when I think about my favorite color flower, I love yellow roses with like tipped with coral.
Ooh.
One of my favorites. So John will often buy me yellow roses. He knows I like those. And by often, I mean like once a year on Mother's Day. Which is okay. I am okay not doing a lot of flowers. I tend to not make them last very long. You guys know I don't have that away with plants.
My neighbor, he has this beautiful flower garden outside, and he said, my wife told me early on in our marriage she didn't want to receive flowers, but to just plant them in the backyard so she can see them all throughout the like spring and summer. And so I marvel at his lovely garden. I'm like, I need my husband to do that now. Is it too late?
I think you got a lot of years left to have that garden.
Yes.
It gets hard, when kids are young, but
I know.
Okay, so this is layer 4, and we're going to move on to the darker yellow, and that's going to be sweet corn in this case. And I did a little bit of the same thing, so combining these with a little bit of an unexpected color, instead of just doing yellow with yellow, I did yellow with a touch of orange. And now we're going to do yellow, and then my dimensional blend color is going to be honey, which is a little bit more of a brownish yellow. I love honey. I mean, both to eat and as a color in our collection. So there's sweet corn. Oh, there went all my stencils. Sorry, you don't have to pick them up now.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. All right, so again, waking up my blender brushes. I call it waking them up if they're a little bit, need to be reinvigorated. So I like to do that on my placemat instead of on my paper, where I might get these blobby areas because my bristles aren't softened yet. So when I feel like I have softened those bristles, I'll bring that over to my cardstock and add a little bit of a deeper layer to my roses. Okay, it's coming together. We only have one layer left, so you're going to see the majority of the pattern here. And while I'm thinking of it, I'm going to go ahead and turn my Mink on. I'm going to use a heat setting of 4. If you noticed before, I used a 3, so I'm bumping it up 1 with this Iridescent Kaleidoscope Foil that we'll be using. Okay, layer 5 of the stencil then adds in some greenery pieces. And that heated up fast. I thought it might take a little longer, but it already gave me a green. So this layer is going to be another new color, Honeydew Melon. I don't know if I've asked this lately, but I'm always interested to hear what everybody's favorite new color has been. We have a new color coming soon. We've been using it a lot around here. So we're going to have a new color guessing game first Thursday of each month as we start to get to the end of October or September. Whew, not October yet.
So scary when you say
right?
things like that.
What? No. We're going to get to the end of September and then into the first week of October, and that's when we'll get our next new color. But so far, we've had 5 new colors, or 6. 6, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 6.
And they have been favorites of mine. Papaya, Persimmon, Royal Icing, Tiki Mule, and Popsicle. Honeydew that I just used. I think that's it. Mm-hmm. That's 6. So this is going to be sweet basil mixed with that honeydew melon color for a little dimension on our leafy areas. Okay. Now we get to see the final product. Popsicle with papaya, a close second. I love that. Papaya, honeydew popsicle. You guys love them all. We do too. We're having a lot of fun with them. Okay, so just in case we have some who didn't tune in when I said this earlier, gotta make sure I can get this off of here without ripping anything.
Ooh, that is beautiful.
Isn't that pretty? Look at that. So pretty. Okay, so in case you are just tuning in or maybe didn't catch or want another quick refresher, I'm going to talk about the new kaleidoscope, Iridescent Kaleidoscope Foil, and we're going to put that through the Mink. I do need to wipe my surface here. Get this adhesive off that was holding my placemat down. Usually it takes a couple squeaky runs with my And then also I like to make sure that I've removed the adhesive from the back of my blended piece, because it will stick to your carrier folder, and you can do that if you have an adhesive square remover. A lot of times you can just rub it with your finger as well, but before I put that into my carrier, you want to make sure that the adhesive is off of the back as well. Okay, so this Iridescent Kaleidoscope Foil, as I explained, is a little bit different than other foils in our collection, which are designed to foil only on the portions that are printed in toner. This, however, is going to stick all over the background. It's not always going to be a perfect adherence all over the background, but I love the charm that it adds. And with that fabulous shattered pattern, a lot of times you really can't tell if it didn't perfectly adhere, because all you're looking at is that beautiful shine. So I did put my Mink up to a heat setting of 4, and we're going to go ahead and cut this off the roll. The other thing that I want to tell you and encourage you is, specifically with this foil, I would keep it on the roll. It's really easy to tell when it's on the roll that this is the top of your foil and this is the bottom of your foil. So the way that it comes off of the roll, you're putting your top side down. Once you cut it, it is more difficult to tell which is the back side and which is the front side. So keep this on the roll. If you can, it's going to make your life easier. So we are going to go ahead and...
Someone also said what they have done is put on, when they cut it off the roll, they put a little dot on the top in Sharpie.
Oh,
on the
yes.
in one of the corners.
In the corner where it's not going to probably be foiled on your project.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, then you'll know the top.
In case it moves around, she said she just felt like that helped her. So I thought that was a great tip.
Susan and I, you can also inspect this. If we lose our place and need to understand which is the front and the back, you can tell the front from the back. Also, the way that it comes off of the roll, it's folding down, which means that this is the top because it was rolled up this way. So hopefully that helps make some sense. Now we're going to put that over the top like this. The other thing you want to be aware of with this foil, because it sticks to everything and not just toner printed areas, you want to cut this as close as possible. And then I'm going to get a small piece of, let me get that out of my, actually, why don't we just use this? This is my leftover inky placemat, and I'm just going to cut a little bit of that off. Make sure that it's enough to hold this piece. I cut it real close, but it's going to work. Okay, so this is just a piece of typing paper. If you're using our Foil Magic Shim, I would not recommend using cardstock because that's going to further thicken your sandwich, and it's also going to make that heat have a harder time adhering to this. The reason why I added this is because anything that goes over the side of your piece, even though, you know, with normal toner foils, it does not stick to your carrier sheet. This one, it does. So that's the reason for this little add-on here. Now we've started calling this, sometimes when we do get it messed up or we forget to put this piece in there, we just run with it and call it our disco carrier. It kind of turns it like disco looking. And it does not then affect anything that you're doing in the future. So even if you do accidentally transfer this particular foil to your carrier, you can keep using it. It isn't going to ruin future projects. So there's what that looks like with that kaleidoscope in there. I have the folded end that's going to go through first. And we're going to let this go through. Diane asked, how did I miss the Secret Garden stencil? I need that. I know, it was part of one of our second chance releases, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it was one of our second chance releases. And sometimes if you have a lot of the things from our freebie offerings, then it's easier to miss the add-ons during that time. But it is part of our collection. Ooh, that's exciting. I didn't catch who said that, but she said this kaleidoscope foil is my favorite since the summer foil release. She's used it the most. Okay, so let's open that up, take it out. I'm gonna let it cool again, and we can take this piece out as well. Jill says, my carrier sheets are beautiful. They're covered in kaleidoscope foil. Well, I'm glad you have some beautiful disco carrier sheets. Okay. We're going to go ahead and peel this away. Ooh la la.
Oh, I love it.
Look at that. Okay, do you see all of that shattered kaleidoscope look? So this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to hold it up into the camera so you can see maybe some areas there. Maybe that's a good capture. So you can see some areas that didn't take on the fullness of the shattered appearance as much as the other areas. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about just the charm and the whimsy of the application of this foil. It's not going to happen the same twice. That's been my experience with it. But when you hold this up to the light, look at, you're capturing that shatter all across the design. And, you know, if you want to be really picky about seeing those areas, you will see them. But I love just holding it back. Even that view, you can see the beautiful shatter that's over the entire piece. So super excited for you guys to play with this some more. Let me turn this off. I did see somebody asked if I use a 4, should I use a 5? This is another one that you should play with. I would maybe just try to keep it on a 4 and see what your results are. And then if you find, oh, I think maybe I should try a little hotter and see what happens. I also know some people have good luck with putting it through their machine twice. So they put it through once, and then before taking it out, they put it through again. And that has helped with some people's machines as well. So there are lots of tips and tricks and trials with this. But again, I think the beauty of it, once you get it figured out, is totally worth it. So let's go ahead and finish the rest of the card. We're going to take this panel, and this might scare some of you. Sometimes it scares me when I have a beautiful panel that I finished and I love it, and then I decide to die cut it. And I just hope that you know, it turns out the way that it is in my head. But we are going to take 2 of the layers from this A2 layer stacklets die set. I can't remember which 2 that I used, so we're going to pull this. We used this one and the one bigger. So this is the 5th largest and the 6th largest. if you count down from the largest. I used a number 5 and number 6, and we're going to nest those together. Sometimes I like to put one down first, then I'm not fighting with both of them together, and I can make sure that it looks perfectly centered on my piece. And then I put the bigger one down over the top and make sure that is centered. And then I adhere that on the opposite side of the other one. Some people prefer to adhere their dies together first and then put them both down on the sheet together. Up to you. Tomato, tomato. Okay. We're going to put that through the die cut machine then, and it's going to cut that really thin frame. Let's see. Could you cover the sentiment part with cardstock so the shattered glass isn't on it? Marianne, that's a really interesting question. Interesting that you asked that, because I did do that. And honestly, I didn't like how it looked. So you can certainly try that, but specifically with this sentiment, I cut a piece by hand and kind of covered it up because I wanted to see how that would look. But you really saw the edges of my hand cutting between where the kaleidoscope foil didn't adhere to the paper, and I just wasn't a fan of how that looked. Maybe if I had a different covering for this, like an edger die that left the whole middle open and only did the outer edge, that would be pretty, I think. So yes, the answer is you can do that, and I would recommend doing it not with cardstock, but with that typing paper. So that was another question someone asked, is what paper I used for the kind of backer piece, and that was the just regular typing paper, something thin, because you want your heat to still conduct through, since the whole idea is that the foil transfers with the help of heat. You don't want to restrict that heat from getting to your cardstock piece. Okay. Here we are. Am I missing any more questions? Amrita, does the Scotch removable do okay with the foil? It does great. I actually have never had any issues with it pulling up the foil. I always try to, not push it down really hard and to use it in areas where it might be less conspicuous, but honestly, I haven't had issues with it. Okay, so we're going to take the outer edge of our frame and we're going to glue that directly down to the popsicle card base. Actually, before I do that, I need to put this, I almost went out of order. Before we put that down, we need to tack down this plum punch, or passion fruit actually is that color, passion fruit layer to the card base, and that's how you get this sort of darker framed piece with the middle being popped up and the outer edge adhered directly to the cardstock. So we'll go ahead and just adhere that centered on that card front. Okay, and then frame piece. I want to make sure, I've been kind of playing with these, so I want to make sure that I didn't accidentally turn this around, because I do want my layers to all line up nicely with each other. And I think it does go the other way, although they are very similar. So, yep, that's the way. Okay. We'll put it down this direction, adhere it onto the center of the card base. Okay, and then we'll pop this up with some foam tape. I'm going to grab my thin foam. These guys. These are great. I'm going to actually go down the sides here. And then we'll cut one in half. Can't be quite as long. Passion fruit cardstock was 3 3/4 by 5. So just one layer smaller than the edge of the floral cardstock. Our foilets are typically cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So if you want that to sit inside just slightly, it would be 3 3/4 by 5. Have I missed any other questions? Comments seem to be flying by today. Okay, so we'll center this inside of that opening so that you can see a little bit of that passion fruit. I'm sure some of you would find a beautiful way to use this, so save that and use it. That's what fell out of this area around. And then last but not least, we've got some bits and pieces, our gold glitter drops to add. Now, when I was making this card, I felt like I could just stop here, but then something said, keep going. So I decided drip drops, but really, this is so sparkly and pretty, you wouldn't even have to add these little extra baubles.
But more is more.
It always is.
It's like when I was making that birthday card for Maddie the other day, and I was like, but I could keep going. You're like, you'll always want to keep going. I'm like, I know.
There's always something more to add. Okay, I'm going to use my jewel picker and start grabbing these and putting them in the places. Bigger flowers can take the bigger ones, and then I have to start to search to find my little guys. I can hear the studio's hopping down there today. Hello to our friends in the studio. I know a lot of times they have the video on while they're shopping. The live is playing. So if you're down in the studio and you hear this, give us a shout. And I'd love to hear how many of you are planning to come tonight. Are you coming to the virtual birthday party? It is going to be fun.
I'm coming.
Are you? I'm so glad.
I'm ready to party it up.
I brought a special party dress for
I
tonight.
Saw your party dress. I'm gonna have to like go home and get all.
There was our shout from the studio.
Our studio friends.
Okay. They were listening. I would have felt really disappointed. Okay, couple more. We'll go up here, and I'm just following the pattern that I already did for the glitter drops, and so I don't have to think about where I'm putting these. I already did the thinking. All right, I think I got them all. Let's hold this up for you guys to see. The shimmery, shiny kaleidoscope goodness. Look at that. I love catching it just in the right light, and you can see all of those pieces really shining. So, super excited. Looks like lots of you are coming to the birthday party tonight. Hope to see you. 7 o'clock Central Time. There will be prizes, and of course, you'll be there with your bingo card, as Madge says, because we've got birthday bingo going on. And all right, let me come back and say farewell. Let me tell you what else we have going this week. So Thursday, we actually do not have a live on Thursday this week. So take that off your calendar if you have it. If you see anybody having questions on our fans page, because there is no live, feel free to let them know that Taylor did announce no live on Thursday this week. Then Friday, those of you that are in our Crop and Create class, I will be teaching on Friday morning. That's through Scrapbooking Cards Today. If you If you don't know what I'm talking about, the sign up has long since passed, but I know lots of you will be attending, so that's happening on Friday. And then Whitney and I will be back on Saturday with a product reveal that you won't want to miss. It's the most wonderful time of the year. So there's your pre-hint. Since we aren't doing any spilled tea on Thursday, you'll have to wait till Saturday for the most wonderful time of the year. I'm sure you can guess what that is. We are really excited about it, and you'll get to hear about it first on our fan page on Saturday. And I will plan to see you guys again on Tuesday, same time, same place. All right, everybody, have a good one.